All right, guys, we're continuing with our series on Hadith. Dr. Shabir Ali is going to be discussing medicine related to the Hadiths. So we're going to get into that here. I do want to make a mention. I did make a video, a sincere question to Muslims, and I was asking about Surah 13:13, where it basically states that the thunder glorifies his praises, as do the angels in awe of him. He sends thunderbolts, striking with them whoever he wills, and he is tremendous in might. Read it again, because I don't think people really get this. My argument that he sends thunderbolts, striking with them whoever he wills. That's my main argument. Someone mentioned that a thunderbolt is lightning and thunder together. I said, well, then what would a lightning bolt be? Wouldn't that be a lightning bolt? And I just stated, I just think that's cultural ignorance. It's just people didn't understand the difference between thunder and lightning. And when you see it, it's lightning. You don't see thunder, you hear thunder. So that was my point. I'd be open to other conversation regarding that. It just, to me, just seems like Zeus. Anyway, let's get into the video here. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. We're gonna go ahead and get into this video. Once again, I will post where to watch the video itself in the link, as well as where to read the Quran and where to read the Hadiths, if you so desire. All right, let's get started. So off the rip, how do we understand Hadiths that contradict medical knowledge? Well, that implies in the statement that there are Hadiths that contradict medical knowledge. Let that sink in. These Hadiths, some of them contradict medical knowledge. What do I do with that? Right? All right, let's keep going. Like any wise man of his day, these folk remedies predate Islam. So you got stuff in the Hadiths that predate Islam that were known by everybody to be these folk remedies. And the Prophet is prescribing them, so to speak. But Dr. Shabir Ali just said we should not take this as from the Prophet. Let's continue. We have no reason to believe they are true. He's not saying it's in the Hadith, therefore it's true. And I have yet to hear other Muslims besides Baba Schweib, the correctional officer. Go check out his YouTube channel if you want to see somebody who rejects all the Hadiths and Muhammad from God, rejects all hadiths, but I have not seen any other Sunnis or Shias discussing forged hadiths, hadiths that contradict the Quran, and hadiths like this that are not workable and are not true. Dr. Shabir Ali seems like a genuine, honest person, and he is willing to look at the evidence. And this is a doctor. This is a PhD. This is Dr. Shabir Ali, and he's a Sunni. So it's not like he's outside of Islam, in that sense. He is within the bounds, and he's saying what has been known, according to him, 600 years. He just mentioned the man's name, and he mentioned another man, showing that these things are not workable. We should not believe them as true. But I don't know why other Muslims can't just own up to that. Or maybe it's just I haven't come across it where they say, yeah, we just because it's in Sahih Bukhari doesn't mean that everything in there is actual or factual or we take it as true. It's just been recorded that this is what was said. That does not mean that we take it as this is what was said. I have heard the total opposite. That like the Sunnah, right? They say hadith, that's the Sunnah, the ways and the sayings of the Prophet. That's up there with the Quran. Like you can't have one without the other. And I think Dr. Shabir Ali is saying, no, this is look at this. You can't you can't possibly believe this. Let's continue. So eating a certain kind of date will prevent possession. So like demonic possession. I'm assuming that's what he means because I know it's like jinn, right? The jinn. So if I eat these certain dates, then I won't be possessed and I won't be affected by poison. That's wild. You know what that sounds like? If you throw this salt over your shoulder, or if you have this crystal or that crystal, um, that's what it sounds like. If you cross yourself this way, if you, yeah, it just seems utterly human and ignorant. Let's continue. That is crazy, bro. I eat honey like every day, and, like he just said, if the reverse would be true, all the calamities would be based on people not eating honey or not eating it in the morning 3 times, maybe twice. They didn't get that third one in. Boom, here comes a calamity. That is outlandish. Uh, you know what I mean? I mean, that's crazy. The seventh, what do you say? The 19th, all you safe from all diseases. So all I got to do is eat dates every day, take honey every morning, make sure I get my cupping in, and bro, I'm like golden. That's crazy, man. Like I'm trying to understand why I don't hear more people talking about the Hadiths in this way. It's kind of like it's a sealed, maybe because they're reading it in Arabic. I've heard that that's a thing with the Quran. People just memorize it in Arabic. They don't even know what it says. They just memorize it, and that's supposedly like better. I think that's kind of like the same thing with multiple religions when you think about it. Like in Catholicism, it started in Latin, and so you have the Latin Mass, that the Mass is done in Latin. It's supposed to be profound and angelic, and you're there, but you don't understand a word of it. Even you pray in Latin and all that other stuff. It's like the understanding gets disconnected from the practice of the religion, and I think that's unfortunate. Why would you not want to understand what you're reading or praying or doing? I think that can be dangerous. And so I think that could be the case here. People have the hadiths and, you know, they just have them just to have them, or they might have them and not know a lot of Arabic, but they're using them to get to that point. Nothing wrong with that, you know what I'm saying? But let's listen to the people who know what they're talking about, like Dr. Shabir Ali. I mean, everything he's saying is logical, making sense to me, at least. And I think it's important that we start having these difficult conversations. Because if you're trying to sell a religion, proselytize for your religion, and your religion tells me all I gotta do is eat these 7 dates, take honey every morning, and this, that, and the other, and you're telling me that that's now binding on me, that I have to believe this stuff, I have to believe these hadiths and what was said here, and then I come to find out that all of this is in there, and it was like you were hiding it from me, you weren't actually discussing the hadiths, that's going to do more damage than good. People need to be transparent about their texts and what are in them. Let's continue. Much respect to Dr. Shabir Ali. Just as a note, guys, you see an ad just came up. It says the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whatever, said da 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 da. Okay, that's probably from a hadith, and we're just showing right now these contradictions and stuff. What I'm saying is, how does that guy know that the Prophet actually said that? And that's the whole conundrum. You're basing what someone said about what someone said, and you can't prove that he actually said that. That's the conundrum. That's what we're dealing with right here. So let's continue here. even Hassan or Sahih Hadiths. Okay, so don't think because it says Sahih that means you're good. Take this at 100%. No, don't do that. Do not do that. It can cause harm. He's about to get into it. Let's see. They have objectionable content. Man, I mean, they were approved, but they have objectionable content. And it's because they had an objective, viable way to trace the narration because there was some overlap, it looks like. Interesting. But they have objectionable content, and I would agree, they do. This is such a human undertaking. It all just seems so human without a trace of spiritual, divine uh, assistance. Sorry if that upsets people, but listen to what was approved. Senna cures death. What the hell are we talking about? That's in a hadith? Like, that's crazy. What? This is the first time that I've actually heard about these. I knew of some others, but I want to know if he's going to get into the one about the camel urine. But let's keep going. Wouldn't that just alter the religion, though? I mean, it would be so hard to know if the objectionable things were actually what we're taught, since they passed the approval stage into Hadith. It's kind of like the Old Testament with slavery or polygamy. You know, um, you have these stories, these objectionable practices according to our time, but they weren't seen as objectionable in their time. And does that not just state that morality is evolving, it's changing, it's not static? What we used to think was okay is no longer okay in our society due to the consequences of that said morality? Hmm. Something to think about. Let's see if there's anything else here. I mean, very likable. I think that Dr. Shabir Ali, seems very genuine. He's being honest with the information. He's putting it out there. He cares about what Muslims believe, and especially the younger Muslims who are just going to open a hadith, read something, and they're going to say, "Oh, Prophet said da da da. That means da da da." And Dr. Shabir Ali saying, "No, no, no. Listen, guys. We as scholars, right? He's talking to his colleagues. We as scholars have a responsibility to ensure that what is being propagated is true, doesn't contradict the Quran, it's not objectionable, it's not going to cause harm. And I respect that. I respect that idea. People would say that he's like a reformist Muslim, meaning he's trying to reform Islam, but he mentioned the scholar from 600 years ago who stated the very same thing that these hadiths are questionable. And here's the reason. And I just want to hear from the Muslims out there. Do you believe that if you eat these dates, then you will be protected from poison and possession? Do you believe that if you eat honey 3 times in the morning a month, that you'll be protected from calamities? I mean, do you or do you not? Or do you agree with Dr. Shabir Ali that these narrations are not from the Prophet, that even though they're in the book, even though they have the grade Sahih, whatever the case may be, you don't accept them, you reject them. I want to hear from you guys. Um, I want to hear your guys' opinion on these hadiths. If you've come across them and you've talked to your spiritual leaders, imams, and the people who guide you through these kinds of conversations. That's what I want to hear. That's what I would like to hear about this stuff. Um, the cupping on the certain days, and if you cup between the shoulders and the neck, and then oh yeah, senna, senna cures even death. Senna leaf, a laxative, cures even death. I mean, come on, guys. Like, I just haven't heard anybody renounce these hadiths as totally, totally not good, except Dr. Shabir Ali saying obviously we can't accept that stuff. Anyway, guys, I will post uh, where you can watch the video itself, where you can read the Quran, and where you can read the Hadiths. Thank y'all for watching. Appreciate it. Until next time, take care.